I'm assuming you've already watched the last video which explained the basics of how to use a switch statement in C. Here I want to look at the code in 02_switch case, that's one of the sample projects, in a bit more detail. Now I've actually got two examples of switch here. Now first I want to look at the one that I looked at before. That's in the find char type function. This function, as I explained previously, is called by this code down here, and it's passed an integer variable with the values from 0 to 127, and it just tests the value of that variable and it assigns to it some description of what type of character this ASCII code represents. Now you might have noticed that there is a commented block in this function down here, and I'll come back to this shortly and explain why it's commented and what it does when it's uncommented. Now in C, the char data type is compatible with an integer data type, since the character is defined by an integer value, and that after all is the whole point of this program. Now here you see an alternative implementation of my character categorizing function. I've called it find char type 2. And this time when an int argument is passed, and you can see down here in my for loop, find char type 2 is called and it's passed, as with the other function, it's passed a simple integer value as the for loop executes. But it's declared, the parameter up here is declared as a char C. And in this case, when the int argument is passed, the char parameter is assigned that value. And the case expressions in the switch block attempt to match C with char values, characters such as 0 between single quotation marks, or non-printing characters preceded by a slash, such as the null character /0 and the tab character /t, or the line feed character /n. So here I've received an int, I've assigned to it a char, and now I can use the character representation of that ASCII integer, that ASCII value, in these case tests. Now let me come down to these commented out blocks of code. Let me uncomment this one. This is in the function that tests an int value, and I'll also uncomment the other one, and that's the one that tests a char value. Let's start off by looking at this one that tests the int. Now instead of writing separate case tests for sequential values such as 0 to 9 as chars or 48 to 57 as int ASCII codes, some modern C compilers let you specify a range of values in a single case test. A range is defined by a start value and an end value separated by 3 dots, and a match will be made when the switch test value, such as I, in this example, matches any values between the start and the end values of a range. For example, in the ASCII table, uppercase letters start with the value 65 for capital A and end with 90 for capital Z, and lowercase letters start with 97 and end with 122. So when using a C compiler that supports ranges, I can write these case statements to test an int value, and in the code that tests a char, I can write these statements to go from capital A directly to capital Z, or lowercase a to lowercase z. And let me run it to make sure that it works. And you can see it has indeed categorized the lowercase letters and the uppercase letters. So bear in mind that this is a good way of dealing with sequential values, ranges of values, in those C compilers that permit this syntax, but not all C compilers do.